In this video, I just want to show you a couple of modifications that you can make to this column. This would apply to any other models that you're making. I'm just staying with this theme here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a Polygon Taurus. And in this one, I'm going to take my axis divisions and make them maybe 24. All right. I want to have a lot of geometry on the axis based on something that I want to achieve here. So, and you'll see why in a minute. So let's just go ahead and create that. And you know, I can also change the subdivisions along the height here. So I have that set to 8. If I select the word, I can middle mouse click and increase that so that I can have 9, 10, 11, 12, and so forth. So you can alter your geometry on the fly. Also, this is a pretty fat looking donut here. Maybe that's okay, but if I want to make if I want to change the ratio of the primary radius to the secondary radius, I can change the radius here, increase, and that gives me a larger ring here. If I change the section radius here, again, I'm middle mouse clicking in the interface here with this word selected, and I can change that secondary radius to make a narrower ring shape. All right, so this is good for where I want to be. I'm going to go into the front view, right click, select faces. I'll select all the bottom faces and delete them. Then I'll go back into the perspective view, select one face, shift and double click on the adjacent face and delete. Select a face, shift and double click and delete, and then do the same thing here, and that's going to give me that little bit of a ring that I wanted. So the first thing that I want to do is create the base of this right out of this this torus, and I can do that by extruding this bottom edge. So I'll select the edge, and I'm just going to double click on it, and that's going to give me the entire edge loop. And I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, Extrude here, and my manipulator is tilted a little bit. So if I pull on the Z manipulator, you can see that it follows kind of an angle, and that's because these faces are set at an angle. They're not perfectly vertical. So this extrusion is perpendicular to that angle. I don't want to do that. I'm going to hit the Z key and undo. And notice that in the extrude tool up here in the upper right hand corner, there's this little blue clock icon. I'm going to go ahead and select that blue clock icon, and that changes my manipulator so that it aligns with world space. It's no longer relative to the orientation of the torus. So in this case, I'm going to click on one of these little cubes here, and that's going to change my function to scale, and then I'm going to scale this out in all directions, and that's going to give me a flat surface that that aligns with my XZ axis or my grid. So from here, I'm going to go into the top view, and I have 24 edges here, and that's going to give me something at a 45-degree angle. So I've got 3 edges to 45, then 3 edges to 90, and then 3 edges to 45, and so forth. So that's why I chose that that 45-degree angle. And what I want to do is select vertices. So I'll right-click and select vertices, and I'm going to select all of the top ones up to and including the 45-degree angle. Now, if you overlap here and you pick some here in the middle, you can unselect them by holding the Control key and then just drawing a pick box around them. So these I'm going to move, and so hit the W key to move. I'm going to hold the X key to snap to the grid and just use this Z-axis manipulator, and that's going to snap these up so that they're square. Now there's something I want you to notice in the Move tool. I'm going to double click on the Move tool, and I'm going to come down to the Move Snap options. And you can see there's a little checkbox here labeled Retain Component Spacing, and that's turned off. All right, so that's what allows me to snap all of these vertices to the same grid line. Let's turn this on, and I want to show you what the difference is. So in this case, I'll select all these bottom ones, and I'll hold down the X key and move these, and you can see that even though it snaps them, it keeps the spacing in between these. So it's going to snap them almost like it's its own object to the grid. So, and I also have an extra vertex here, so I'm going to hit the Control key and deselect that one. I'm going to turn Retain Component Spacing off, and I'm going to snap these. Okay, and I'm basically one grid unit, away from my circle, which for now I think is fine. Now in this one, I'm going to select all of these, and notice that I'm also selecting the corner that I've already moved, and I'm going to hold down the X key and snap that so that it's one grid space away, and I'll do the same thing over here. Okay, so what I've got then is the beginning of the flat base of this, and it's all one. One object. I don't have to worry about grouping or hierarchical anything on here. So from here I can do what we did with the steps. I can select this edge and extrude it, and when I pull it down, I may or may not be in the correct space. I may have a little bit of an angle here. If you want to be absolutely sure, you would hit this this little blue icon that realigns so I can extrude not relative to the orientation of this, but rather straight down relative to the grid. I can hit the G key to extrude again. I'll go back into World Space, click on the scale icon and scale that out. Hit the G key to go into the extrude tool again. Hit my world space icon and pull down. So that's it's just an alternate method of how to create the base on this, and the advantage is, of course, to be able to keep this as one object. And of course you can do what we did before. I can select this edge here, I'll shift and select this edge here, this one here, the corners, all the way around, and I'll use my Bevel tool, Edit Mesh Bevel. I'll bevel them, and after the fact I can go back into the construction history. I can turn my segments to 2, and that's going to give me all quads, and I can take my fraction and I can lower that so that I can get a little bit of a tighter bevel on there. I could probably do the same thing here. Let's go ahead and do that. Edit Mesh Bevel, and that's going to bevel that edge right there. I could also insert an edge loop there to tighten that up. So I'll just go to Edit Mesh, Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. I'm going to go into the options and make sure that I don't have multiple edge loops selected, and I'll just click here and slide that in, and that's going to give me that nice tight corner right there. So again, it's just another alternate way. Let's select this as an object and hit the 3 key, and you can see we've got a pretty nice shape right here. It looks like I've got something going on right here. Notice that when when I hit the 3 key, I'm getting a little bit of a pinch there. I'm not really sure what's happening, so I'll hit the 1 key again and see what's going on here. I don't really know why that is. Okay, so I've backed up a little bit, and I'm now at the phase where I haven't beveled this at all yet. So I'm going to go ahead and select the edges here. I'll shift select this edge, and then I'm going to select not just the corners, but the edge, this little chamfer edge that goes to the corners. All right, it's going to give me a little bit of extra geometry, but that's going to solve this problem. So I'll select all three of these, and I'm not going to select this corner right here. I think that I'm okay without that. But if I go to my Edit Mesh Bevel, and then I'm going to change my my segments again to 2, and I'll take my offset, my fraction, I'll drop that down to 0.2 or whatever works for me. And this way, when I select this in object mode and I hit the 3 key, notice that the corners are clean now. It has the correct shape. So adding that extra bevel in this horizontal chamfer was what was causing the problem. I have a little bit of softness up here transitioning to the base there. So let's just go back, and I'll insert an edge loop there. And I can go on the flat side, and I can go up to the vertical side, and then hit the 3 key. Let's select this and hit the 3 key, and that's going to give me a better transition. And again, just because you asked the other day, the closer these edge loops are to the original edge, the tighter these corners are going to be. So that has to do with the fraction of the bevel, and it has to do with where you place these edge loops. Now I have a lot of construction history here. Everything that I've done to this torus is being recorded here. I've got the torus, and then I've got the faces that I deleted, and then I've got the extrusions, and then I've got the bevel over here. So any time I can go back and change any of these modifications. But the more you build up, the harder it's going to be to go all the way back to the beginning. You should kind of make these modifications as you go along, and then delete this. All right, so this really works to your advantage until you let it go too long, and then it can really start to bog you down. So I'm going to just go to Modify, Delete by Type. Edit, Delete by Type, and History. And you can see all that goes away, and my shape is locked in where it is. So the question is, when do you delete the history? And I can't answer that. I guess the best answer I can give you is when you feel you no longer need it. Once you've got the shape that you want, and you don't feel as though you have to go back in and change your bevel fraction, or the number of sections that you have in a torus or something like that, that's when you would delete it. All right, so I want to move on, and I just want to that you can select this edge. I'll double click on this edge, and I can extrude it. And hit the world space manipulator, and I can extrude that up to get the column. Okay, and I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to extrude this part way, and then I want to go to the top view, and I'm going to select every other vertex here. So 0, 2, 4. I'm holding the Shift key. 6, 8, 10. I'm just getting every other one here. Now notice I'm drawing a pick box around this. And when I draw a pick box, it selects not only all the vertices that I can see, but if I go into the front view, you can see that it gets the ones underneath it as well. And I don't want those ones underneath it. Drawing a pick box around in the top view is the best way to select all these vertices, and it's a very simple next step to just hold the Control key and draw a pick box around all these that I don't want. I'm going to go back to the top view, and I'm going to hit the R key for scale, and I'm going to scale all of these in. And you can see that's giving me this little star shape right here. So with that star shape, I'm going to select this edge, double click on it, and that's the one that I'm going to extrude. So I'll just go to Edit Mesh, Extrude, hit the World Space Manipulator, and I'll extrude this up this way. So what this does for me here is, let's just hit the 3 key, and I'm going to turn off the wireframe on shaded for now. And you can see that this gives me this nice fluting on this column. Okay, the transition to the fluted part is very, very soft and very, very gradual. So now that you know that you can do this, we can start playing around with tighter edges to get a little bit tighter transition. So I'm going to go ahead and undo. Let's go back and hit the 1 key. I'm going to hit the Z key to undo this extrusion. All right, and I'm back to where I was here. I'll select this edge again, and I'm going to extrude this again. And this time I'm going to extrude it just a little bit here. So from here I'll go back and select my every other vertex. Same thing that I did before, except I'm doing it on a much tighter edge. And you know, when I do it on a much tighter edge, that's going to hold the shape a little bit more directly. So just every other vertex, I'll go into the front view, Control, and deselect the ones that I don't want, and then I'll scale these inward. And then I'll select this edge again, and I'll extrude. So you can see I've got what essentially amounts to an extra edge loop right there. I can select this in object mode and hit the 3 key, and you can see that my transition is a little bit better right there. I've got a little bit more of a base right there, and I can make that even better by inserting some more edge loops. So I'll just go into my insert edge loop tool. I can insert one here, and let's just see what that does. Object mode. So sometimes, you know, you want to do this you know, a little bit at a time, and so that you can hit the Z key and kind of go back. Okay, so this looks pretty good. Let's go back into the well, let's put another edge loop in here. Let's see what happens if we put one in, say, right here. So that's going to give us, you know, a real clear distinction to where these columns start. So that's just another way that you can manipulate this. Okay, so here I'll select this object, and again, it's one object. I'm going to go into my edit, duplicate special, just like we did before. My options are set so that the scale is set to -1 on the y-axis right here. So I'll apply that. And then I'm going to move this up to here. I'm going to go ahead and hit the 1 key again on both of these objects so that I know what I'm dealing with. I'll just put this one up here like this. Now I want to put these two together and merge the vertices, combine them and merge the vertices. So the first thing I'll do is hit the Insert key. I want to move the pivot point of this upper object so that it lines up with this bottom edge. So I'll hit the Y-axis manipulator, hold down the C key, middle mouse click and drag. Then I'll hit the Insert key again, so now I'm just moving this along the Y-axis. Again, I'll select the Y-axis manipulator and then hold down the C key and middle click and drag on one of these edges. So that snaps these two together. Okay, let's turn on the wireframe on shaded here. Okay, so these are two separate objects. They're snapped together. I'll select them both, go to Mesh, Combine. Now they're a single object, but if I select one of these vertices, you can see that they're not really connected. All right, the vertices have to be merged. So let's select all of these vertices and say Edit Mesh, Merge. And that's going to merge the vertices so that this is now one object. I mean one merged contiguous object. Now in this case, if I want to make a larger column, I think what I'll do is select this edge, double click on it, and then I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, Delete Edge Vertex. Remember in an earlier lesson we saw that if you just delete the edge, the vertices stay behind. This will delete the edges and the vertices. And then if I want to make this column bigger, I can select the vertices, all the top vertices, and move them, and that's just going to stretch that column to accommodate the new shape. Okay, hit the 3 key, and you can see I have this nice kind of fluted column. There's another thing that you can do with this. It does require a little bit more geometry in the middle here. So I'm going to well, let me show you what I want to do, and then I'll show you you know, what happens when you don't have enough geometry in here, and then what happens when you do. Okay, so I'm going to select this, and I'm going to go into the animation tool set, and I have this section called Animation Deform. In here I have an option here to open up a more complete deformation menu, and that's what I'm going to do. It brings up this long list of deformers, and the one that I'm looking for, it's a non-linear deformer, and it's the twist. So when I create this twist, notice that that my column turns purple, and there's this little green thing here. I want to show you what that little green thing is. And so in order to do that, I'm going to go into my Show menu and turn off polygons so that we don't see them. This is my twist deformer here. And over in the construction history here, you have this input. It's called Twist 1, and you have a start angle and an end angle. So notice that this thing has these two lines here, so that the start angle and the end angle are both lined up with the x-axis. If I take the end angle and I rotate it, you can see that that twists. So right here I have 123.7, and that has twisted 123 degrees. I'm going to set that back to 0. I'll show my polygons again. And when I twist this, by manipulating this end angle, you can see that this whole thing starts to twist. Okay, but as I twist it, it starts to collapse in on itself, right? And that's no good. And the reason that it collapses in on itself is that it doesn't have enough geometry along the height of the column. So I'm going to just hit the Z key, get rid of that twisted deformer, and I'm going to go back to my Insert Edge Loop tool here. So that's in my Modeling tool set and Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. And I'm going to go into the options. And here I want to put multiple edge loops in. I don't know how many I need, maybe 4, maybe 6, I'm not sure. So I'm going to go with 6. and just click on this, and that's going to give me 6 evenly spaced edge loops along this column height. That may be enough, it may be too many, I'm not really sure, but you know you can always hit the Z key and go back and redo it. So now I'm going to go ahead and select this and delete the history before I do anything else. Again, I've got all of this stuff over here. So I'll just go to Edit, Delete by Type, History, get rid of all that. I'll go into my animation tool set, Animation Deform, show the full menu. It's under my nonlinear twist. Then I'm going to go into the twist here, and I'm going to take my end angle and rotate, and you can see that it now holds the form. So I know that I want this rotation, this end angle, to rotate probably either 90 or 180 or 360 degrees so that the top and the bottom of this thing line up. So let's just go with 90. And you can see that that has now twisted nicely. And if I hit the, let's select this, and hit the 3 key, and I'm going to just get rid of the wireframe on shader. You can see I have now a nice twisted column right there. Now I don't need this twist deformer anymore, but here's the thing. If I select this twist deformer, not even sure I can. I'm going to come in and select this. I don't seem to be able to select it. I'm not really sure why. But no matter. The point is that in order to get rid of this, what you need to do is select the geometry and then delete the construction history again. So I'll delete by type history. That gets rid of the deformer but locks in the deformations that you've got. So this is just a way of creating one single column here. Once I've got this one single column, then I can select, you know, these interior vertices like this and scale them. And remember, I don't want to scale them up along the length of this column. I want to scale them on the X and Z axes only. So in order to do that, I hold the Control key and manipulate that the vertical axis. So Control just means not this one. So I hit the Control, not the Y-axis. It's gonna scale along the X and Z. So that looks pretty good for there. And then I'll work my way to the inside here. I'll scale these again, Control like that, and then I'll take the 2 inner ones and Control and do that. And that's going to give me this nice twisted single surface column. So there's no grouping involved, you know, or anything like that.